Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. It's the 13th of February, the day before Valentine's Day. Are we going to have a $100,000 Bitcoin for Valentine's Day or not? The CPI D-Day, it's come. We've seen it 0.1% higher. We're going to talk about that. What effect did it have on the market? Well, in all honesty, not a lot, really. We have seen, why is this showing a different page on the camera than we've actually got? Give me 1 second to sort out why we have a different capture than normal. It seems to have frozen, which is really weird. You're seeing some posts at the minute. I'm going to try and sort that out now. Anyway, CPI data has come in. Tiny bit up. Market has responded. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Ton. We're going to talk about Ondo and their partnership with World Liberty Finance. We're going to talk about USDD. We're going to talk about Unichain, Deepin, ZK Lend, and then a conclusion. That is the show today. A wide list of things to look at, and we're going to go back and have a look at Bitcoin dominance. But before we do, we're going to find out why, for whatever reason, we are not showing the charts. There we go. Let me just give that a refresh and see what happens. Hopefully, we will now be back. Look at that. There we go. Let's have a look at the markets first and then some X-Files. Good morning, Velvet Rope, Hidden Agendas, KB, and Bullish Bull. Welcome to you all. I hope you're having a good day. So, I said yesterday that if we came in super hot, we'd wick down, maybe get down to 92,000. If it was a real problem, then maybe we'd go down to 88,000. If it came in under target, maybe we'd go back above 100,000. And then I said that we're probably going to start the day and this stream 24 hours later at the same price we were at yesterday. And we are 0.1% higher than we were yesterday because it was a nothing burger. 0.1% higher, and we know why. Gas prices have shot up in America, and it's going to take Donald Trump a little time to bring them down. He's been there 3 weeks, he has 4 years. Let's not forget that. He has a long time to sort out inflation, he has a long time to sort out these problems. And we're back where we were. The question I would ask is, what is going to be the trigger to move us from where we are now? What's going to come out to rip us to the upside? The reason is that we're seeing bullish news and the market isn't moving. And we're seeing bearish news and the market isn't moving either. We are in a state of suspense, I suppose you could call it. Now, the question is, whenever we get to these points and we say, what's going to move us up? I remember a couple of years ago, we were back down $25,000, and everybody was saying the same thing then. What's going to break us to the upside? And I think it's going to be a tsunami of good news. Remember, it's all gone quiet on the Bitcoin Trust. It's all gone quiet on Ethereum. It's all gone quiet on everything at this moment in time because, of course, Donald Trump is trying to sort out Eastern Europe. Rightly or wrongly, he is trying to bring that conflict to an end. So he's taken his eye off crypto, quite rightly. There are bigger things and more important things in the world than magic internet tokens. But I think Cynthia Lummis, I think Hester Peirce, I think a lot of bullish news is going to start to come out, and I think that's what's going to move us to the upside. But remember, we go in waves. The leg up that I'm expecting is now until the middle of March, and I expect a leg up, and I am going to put my reputation on the line and say that we're going to have a leg up. It happens nearly every year at this time, and Ethereum, which had a better 24 hours than Bitcoin, is coming in at just under $2,700. We were having a really good time yesterday, and then Vitalik came out and said the most stupid thing I'll try and dig out the tweet for you in a second. So Bitcoin is up just a tad. Ethereum is up. XRP still $2.50. BNB is having a tear, and we know why. We think that there is there's two reasons. One, which I think is more of a conspiracy theory, which is there is a certain exchange that has to pay a fine in America. They owe $3 or $4 billion. And there's market manipulation. That's the conspiracy theory. My other theory is that CZ is playing a game, talking about launching his own meme token. I think that's more likely the case. But to see BNB up 10% when nothing moves is a bit strange. And I said it yesterday. BNB doesn't move, and then it just drags itself forward. It shouldn't be at $700. This is based off fake news. Not fake news. The price has reacted more than it should have done to what's gone on, in my opinion. Solana still below 100. Still below 200. It's there or thereabouts. Again, I expect some big moves. Now, PancakeSwap is up a massive 41%. Sonic is up 17%. Lido, Trump, $17. BNB, as we've just seen, quite a few coins in the green today. Not too many coins in the red. Again, do not worry about Mantra at 536 or 550. It's come a long way. It's gone up 6x, 7x since June, July last year. It's moved a long way. It's due a retracement. $5.2 billion market cap. Maybe it comes down. Maybe I'll look at the price action of Mantra tomorrow. FTX, again, shouldn't be a coin. $650 million in a token associated with an exchange that doesn't exist. I say this time and time again, don't touch that token. Radium at $5, I think, is a really good price. Solana at $1.93, also a good price. Toncoin at $3.70, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Virtuals, I think, at $1.30 is a solid price. It's below $1 billion market cap. Cardano coming in at 78 cents. All in all, not a bad day for the markets at all. Now, we don't have too many tweets to go through today, so I will try and find Vitalik's, which I believe was tongue-in-cheek, but hasn't come across as tongue-in-cheek. He's not got a very good sense of humour. Mew, of course, is a big friend and sponsor of the channel. They will be at Solana Crossroads in April. They will have a stand. If you are anywhere near Istanbul, make sure to go and check out the Mew stand. They normally have a load of really good merch. They have the little tiny kittens. They have T-shirts. They have satchels to give away. And there is a 50% discount on the tickets if you go through that link there. So if you are in Istanbul, make sure to go and check out Mew. And if you do go, make sure to say hello from Crypto Warehouse. Let them know that you are watching them daily through us. Anyway, let's move on very quickly. This was this wasn't necessarily what it seems, okay? $100 million of ETH moved yesterday, not bought. So again, what people do is they will go and drag some transactions off the blockchain and then attach these titles to it. Again, there are ones that you can believe. So when there is $1 billion minted on the Tether or the Circle blockchain, when there's 250 million burnt at the Tether or Circle account, that is an indication that money is coming in and coming out, and that's to be believed. But just basically saying 2 + 2 = 10 is not the way forward. Now, again, there's a lot of bullish news, in my opinion, about Ethereum coming up. We've got another tweet about that in a minute. Did he delete his tweet? That's the question. Basically, Vitalik tweeted that communism was good, and he appears to have deleted it. Okay, so, of course, we don't agree with that at all. here, but he put that out as the news on this happened. And that is this. 21 shares want or have applied and requested from the SEC to allow the staking of Ethereum held by the trust. This is the news that came out really late last night. Again, Mr. Butterin over there then tweeted out that communism was good. I think that was either a really bad joke, I think it's a really bad joke, or it's absolute stupidity. I think we talked about this. Oh no, I didn't talk about this. I talked about this in a Telegram conversation. You want to go to war with people that you trust. And there are certain people in crypto that I would go to war with. I would go to war with somebody like Charles Hoskinson. Yes, he's a conspiracy theorist, but I think he comes from a good place. I wouldn't go to war with Vitalik Buterin. I think he is under pressure. I think there are threats. He shouldn't be the CEO of Ethereum. Ethereum is becoming bigger than Vitalik. The boys in suits are taking over. I've said this 2 days ago. The boys in suits are taking over. Vitalik needs to go. He needs to step down and to the side and head up development. And they need a new head. He is not the right person to head up the second biggest cryptocurrency in the world. Let's not forget that. Michael Saylor is the unappointed voice of Bitcoin. He's the one driving adoption with the blue chip companies. He's the one driving adoption. He's got Cathie Wood. There are a lot of what I think are very competent people now with Bitcoin. And yes, they want to make money. Of course they do. Who doesn't want to make money? Do not tell me you're watching this and you're in it for the tech. You're in it for life-changing wealth, okay? And you're in early, and that's the point. So we've got decent people with Bitcoin. In my opinion, we have decent people in Solana as well. And we're going to see more men in suits coming into Solana as well, by the way. But the likes of Meow, who wears his heart on his sleeve, he's there. He's present, okay? Vitalik is present in the wrong way. He's like the crazy man that owns a restaurant. And the restaurant serves the nicest food, and all the people in the city go to the restaurant, and he's walking around and he's got a chicken on his head, okay? And he's got dealy boppers on that chicken on his head, and he's wearing a clown suit, and that's who Vitalik is. Very clever man. Take him out of the equation. Now, this is massive news for Ethereum. If this is approved, and there is no reason why this shouldn't be approved, then we're going to see a huge influx into Ethereum, in my opinion, because we're going to switch from a passive buy Ethereum, hold Ethereum, to buy Ethereum and earn a yield. Even if that yield is 3% and the likes of 21 shares take 0.5%, you're getting 2.5% a year on your Ethereum. So it's positive for me. The same with Solana. I think we said this yesterday as well. When Solana ETFs are approved, they will probably pay about 5%, 4.5%. Again, look at what you would get from a bank. Look at what you would get from a gilt or a treasury bond. It's 3.5%, 4% now. So again, it just makes them more attractive. Getting a yield makes them more attractive. And you're not just getting the increase in value over time. You're getting, and let's be clear about this, you're getting the equivalent of a dividend for holding the asset. So great news for Ethereum if it happens. Again, we cover these as best we can. Where has it gone? There we go. So Jet King Limited, who, to be honest, I've never heard of them. I'm sure some of our Indian viewers know who they are. It's the first Indian publicly traded company to adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy, increased its hodl to 15 Bitcoin. Now, again, it doesn't matter whether it's half a Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, or 100 Bitcoin. There are hundreds of companies now holding Bitcoin, okay? And Hodl 15 Capital, who I follow, and we include them every week on the stream, it shows you the list. It shows you MicroStrategy, Marathon Digital, Riot Platforms, 2 of those are miners, Tesla 11,500, and it doesn't matter whether we have 1 Bitcoin, excuse me, 1 Bitcoin or 1,000 Bitcoin, because every single day these companies are accruing Bitcoin. There's only, is it 450 Bitcoin a day being mined? We are seeing 2,000 going out the door, okay? Bear that in mind. And something else I shared in the OG Telegram group, which I've not got on the stream, is the amount of Bitcoin in the OTC sector. We're down to almost lower than 6 figures. That's going to be big news. Now then, one last thing before we move on. If you got Zeus in the airdrop from staking your Jupiter last year, there are delegations where you can go and stake it and earn a yield. Now, they're doing this in a piecemeal approach. So they're only doing it 500,000 at a time. So it's currently fully subscribed. But over time, you'll be able to stake your Zeus and earn 5% yield on that. So something to bear in mind, if you hold Zeus, at some point you will be able to stake it. Now then, moving on. One chart. I promise you, only one chart today. Maybe a few more rants then, because KB likes rants. And that is this. This is Bitcoin dominance. And Bitcoin dominance has broken back into the range I thought it would top out at, which is the 60 to 61% range. That's where I thought we were gonna go. We are in this kind of rough upwardly pattern, but we have to break down at some point. If we don't break down at some point, then all of the cycles that have gone prior to this, they are all defunct. So I think we're going to break down. Now, just to give you an idea, the 20th of November to the 10th of December, 3 weeks, it took Bitcoin dominance to go from 61.5 to 55. So 6%. That's a big move. Why is this so important? Because it shows the performance of Bitcoin against the entire crypto market other than Bitcoin. And it's been going up for ever. Okay? It's been going up since all the way down here where it bottomed in September 22. It was at 38%. It has done nothing for 3 years, almost 3 years, then go up and up and up. If we want to talk about an alt season, we have to see this. Okay? Now, we haven't seen it. We've seen this, and then it bounced, and then we come straight back up. The cycle isn't over. If we follow previous cycles, the cycle isn't over until Bitcoin dominance breaks down. It's done nothing but go higher. Because Bitcoin dominance has gone higher, the liquidity in the market is in Bitcoin. It's not in anything else. It's not in Ethereum. It's not in Solana. You are seeing the odd coins going on a rip. Sui went on a rip. Ton had a rip last year. We're seeing some of the real world asset coins go on a rip, but they're tiny, tiny market caps. Bitcoin is 2 trillion out of 3 trillion or thereabouts. So until this breaks down, we can't talk about the alt season. Because this hasn't broken down, your alts... This is supposed to be a very sad robot. This is your robot, okay? That is your alt, okay? And it is getting absolutely wrecked, okay? It's getting wrecked by Bitcoin. And Bitcoin hasn't given up. Everybody expected Bitcoin to break down in January. And what happened was it broke down at the end of November. And by the beginning of December last year, it had come down the 10%. But it's done nothing but recover ever since. So, until this breaks down, your alts and my alts that we all love and cherish, they're not going to go on a rip-roaring 5 or 10x. So there are a lot of unhappy people on crypto Twitter that are having a go at multiple different projects. Multiverse X has gone into meltdown. The Kronos chain has gone into meltdown. There are lots of people who are very, very sad. And nothing is going to happen until this breaks. We can cry as much as we want, but if this keeps going to say here again and then breaks down, the alt season will not begin until this yellow line, which is May. It's not going to happen. So that's another reason why I keep bringing up the Bitcoin dominance chart. It's not breaking down. It's not breaking down. And when the Bitcoin reserve gets announced, and when these 20 states that want to have their Bitcoin reserve, and when another 50 or 60 different blue chip companies all want Bitcoin, all that's going to happen is this is going to keep going up. And I have this niggling question at the back of my mind, which is, what happens if Bitcoin dominance doesn't break down? Because everything coming into crypto, everything's going into Bitcoin. Every bit of news is coming into Bitcoin. And the only exception to any of this is a bit of news about World Liberty Finance and Ethereum, a little bit of news about Ondo, a little bit of news about Solana. That's it. So the niggling doubt at the back of my mind is, what happens if Bitcoin dominance doesn't break down? Or what happens if it breaks down, but it doesn't break down very, very much? What happens if it does this? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm going with the cycle. I'm going with November. I'm sticking with that. But it is a case of, at some point, the previous cycle will stop rhyming with this current cycle and it will break. And maybe Bitcoin adoption is going to be the reason it breaks. Maybe we don't have an alt season, or maybe we have an alt season and it's very weak, because when the American government starts playing game theory and buys Bitcoin, other countries are going to buy Bitcoin, other businesses are going to buy Bitcoin, and then we've got a problem as far as the alts are concerned, because all the eyes are on Bitcoin. So it's something to think about, something not to worry about as such, but just think about it. Have that at the back of your mind. And there are other stories that have come out, which I haven't included either. Good morning to Kishan. The other story that we haven't covered today is, I spoke about Charles Hoskinson a few days ago going for a very important meeting that's been pushed to the 1st of March. The rumour, and that's why it's not included in the stream, the rumour is that they will be moving or looking to move some of the Treasury, US Treasury, onto Cardano. Now, I did say a few days ago that they're going to use multiple different blockchains, maybe Hedera, Ripple, Cardano. We covered the ISO 20022 coins yesterday, did we not? And that was more of an indicator of what's going to be used in the banking system in America. It's likely to be some of those coins. And if you were to pick two winners, I would pick Cardano and XRP. So keep that at the back of your mind. Right then, US inflation rises to 3% as Trump says interest rates should be lower. There he is. Have they made him black and white to make him less orange, do you think? So inflation was 3%, up from 2.9%. Excuse me. It has gone up. It is a little bit higher than expected. Okay. The Fed is probably not going to drop interest rates this month. Okay. They are probably going to hold, and that again isn't good for us. Interest rates should be lowered, something which would go hand in hand with upcoming tariffs. Let's rock and roll, America, he has said. His demand came 24 hours after his nemesis. I don't think Jerome Powell is a nemesis of Donald Trump. I don't think Jerome Powell is on the same level as Donald Trump in terms of power and influence and everything else. We will do our job and stay out of politics, Powell said. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent later clarified that the administration was more focused on bringing down the 10-year Treasury yield than adjusting the short-term rates. Market expectations for rate cuts changed immediately. The contracts tied to the Fed's policy rate indicated now see no cuts until June or July, with some thinking the Fed might not lower rates at all this year again. I don't believe this for 1 second, okay? He's not going to telegraph what he's going to do. We might not have an interest rate cut in February. That's very likely, or March. But we are going to see them April, May, or June. We are definitely going to see a rate cut because the trend is down. And once the price of oil comes down, everything else comes down. Remember, America is a big place. Moving eggs and butter and meat and all of their staples across the country require people to drive. And all of those vehicles require gas, as they call it in America. So once you bring the price of gas down, that will incrementally bring the cost of everything else down. If it can bring down the cost of electricity at the same time, that will lower the costs of all restaurants, bars, supermarkets. Everything will come down in price. And that will have a knock-on effect on inflation. And we will see a drop. We will not go from 3% to 1%. We'll probably go from 3% to 2.5%. But that's the point. So inflation is going to lag what Trump is trying to do. What I mean by that is the things that Trump does now will probably not impact for another couple of months. That's the key. And Powell is the same. Powell put interest rates up 2 years ago now, whatever it was, and it took a while for those interest rates to start to cool the economy. Again, inflation is the hidden tax. They take money out of your pocket. Bear that in mind. Heavenly Kingdom TV, join my insider group. Meme, very nice. Yes, we won't be doing that, but thank you anyway. Ondo Finance collaborates with World Liberty Financial. Can Ondo price hit $2 or even $5? World Liberty Finance made a video about it, put a link up to their portfolio. They are showing up in the news every day. Why? Because they're making moves in the market. They are buying Ethereum. They are staking Ethereum. They are buying Ondo. They are buying Move. They already hold the likes of Tron. You need to keep an eye on this because this is run by Donald Trump's family. So whatever this WLF, World Liberty Finance, does, Trump will pass legislation or pressure the SEC or whatever way he wants to do it to get what he wants. So can Ondo hit $2 or $5? I believe by the end of this bull run, Ondo will be somewhere near $5. The current price is $1.40, $1.35, whatever it might be. It did get to $2, so I think it's going to easily go back to $2. What is Ondo? Well, Ondo has products which are connected to real-world assets. So it has treasury, interest-yielding treasury products. It has a USDY product, which is a dollar that earns you interest. I think it's about 4 or 5% a year. So Ondo isn't just one individual thing. It has a suite of different products, which is only going to get larger. Now, Ondo Finance is a tokenized real-world asset issuer, and it's entered into a strategic collaboration with WLF. As per the post, the partnership seeks to drive the mainstream adoption of tokenized real-world assets and merge TradFi with, of course, Web3. It will also integrate the short-term US government treasuries, the AUSG, and the US dollar yield, which is the USDY we've just been talking about. So what does this mean? If you go and buy this dollar, so let's say you put $1,000 into USDY today, in 1 year's time, that will be worth $1,050. So unlike USDC and USDT, which are pegged dollar to dollar with the real dollar in the world, USDY is a yield-bearing dollar. So over time, it will be completely different to the price of the dollar. It will start at 1 to 1, and then it will end up, I imagine, at 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 or whatever it might be in the future. I'm sure they're going to work a way around that to keep it somewhere near a dollar. But at this moment in time, that's how it works. The same on Solana as well. It's not just on Ethereum. It has moved on to Solana. So World Liberty Finance's Web3 ambassador Donald Trump Jr. expressed excitement for the joint venture. Our collaboration with Ondo Finance marks a significant step forward in aligning traditional finances with blockchain innovation. So there was the Ondo conference, which was last week, and Donald Trump Jr. spoke there. We told you a week ago this was going to happen. But not only that, it's not us having a crystal ball. If Donald Trump Jr., associated with World Liberty Finance, is standing on stage at the Ondo conference, you can bet your bottom dollar there's a partnership there, and that partnership has been announced the following week. So unlike Web3, where everything is instantaneous, traditional finance tells you in advance what they're going to do. And nothing is as much of a secret as it is in Web3. So Ondo is at 130. Will it go to $2? Absolutely. It certainly will go to $2. We do need another leg up. As I said a minute ago about Bitcoin dominance, until that breaks down, we are not likely to see all of the alts rip to the upside. But the odd coin will. We will see maybe the meeting with Charles and Elon Musk about the treasury being on the blockchain. Maybe that gets announced next week. That will push Cardano above $1. Maybe there's another partnership with XRP and the American government that will push it back towards $3, $3.50. This announcement will push Ondo up a little bit, but not massively. We need to see a little bit more, and we need to see the market change direction. $5 is not just a dream, it's the next level. There are people calling for $10 Ondo. I didn't realize this was in the article. People calling for $10 Ondo. Let's get to $5 first. Let's get to $5 Ondo, and then we can talk. Because at this moment in time, we're a 3x away from, 4x away almost from $5. So it's going to take some time, okay? But again, when the market recovers, when Bitcoin breaks down, you want to be looking at altcoins that you think are going to outperform on the way up. Ondo, for me, would be one of them. Cardano, XRP, they would be two more. Solana, certainly. Litecoin with its ETF, maybe as well. They will outperform the market. So again, if you do a 2x between now and the end of this year, you've doubled your money. More than doubled your money. If you do a 5x, you have made massive returns. And it's a scale, okay? You're not going to make 0 or 500% profit. You're going to make a scale. So holding Litecoin, holding TON, holding Solana might get you 150% return this year. Holding Ondo might get you a 200% return this year. So it's not there is going to be one winner. People win on a grey scale. They don't win in black and white. That's something to bear in mind. Your portfolio, let's say you've got $25,000 in your portfolio. It might hit $100,000 at the end of this bull run. You've done a 4x. The colleague watching this stream alongside you might have $20,000 in different projects. He might walk away, or she might walk away with $120,000. You've made a 4x, they've made a 6x. It's a scale. It's not black and white. Now, Toncoin might be undervalued, and here's what that means. Again, coins that have a huge rip to the upside, retrace, find a natural level of support before the next leg up. If it's not a pump and dump, of course. Ton is below $4. It was above $5. I did say it absolutely looked manipulated. I can't prove that. It went into the top 10. I said, how is it going to maintain this level of performance? And it hasn't, and it's come back down. We can talk about bearish trends, but again, take Ton into the context of the market. Everything has bled against Bitcoin since December. Everything has bled, with a few minor exceptions. Again, this is probably a good time to start accumulating coins you think are going to have a good run. Okay, we've talked about Ondo. Ton was never a fan of it. Never a fan of it. It ran up and it ran up and it ran up and it wasn't a fan. And the reason I wasn't a fan is very simple. When it's ripping to the upside, you're buying into the pump. So whilst you're buying, the people that are making the profits are selling, and you end up with a bag of ton that's cost you $5 a coin. We're now at $3.40. So you're down 35%. The key is to hold your nerve, not degen in, wait for it to retrace and try and pick some up on the cheap. Now, ton has come down. $3.40 are we at now? Something like that. It's not a bad price. If we're going to have another leg up in the next 6 weeks or 4 weeks, then ton is likely to go back to $5, maybe $5.50, maybe $6, whatever it goes to. It might have another leg up. But getting it at $3.40, if we look at the position of ton now, what is it? 12th, 13th, 14th, something like that in the top charts. Where is ton? There it is. It's 16th at $3.70. Okay. This was as high as 9th. And I said, I do not think for 1 minute it is a top 10 coin yet. We're back in the pack with the likes of Litecoin and Stellar and Avalanche. If it's going to have a run, it's going to have a run probably towards $5. That would give it a market cap of about 15 billion. Sui is likely to run again. Sui is more than likely going to end up being a top 10 coin by the end of this. Chainlink is always going to be, I would say, 10 to 15. It's not a top 10 coin. Tron is there by some grace of God. I don't know how Tron is there. I am a fan of Justin Sun, but I'm not necessarily a fan of the coin itself. So again, Ton is not a bad price at this level. Hedera is not a bad price at that level. Hyperliquid going into the top 20, that's one of those coins I think is going to run and run and run and then fade. And it's going to follow the Ton strategy, I think. Again, don't believe anybody you listen to on the internet. Now, talking about Tron, did you see that segue? Segue was beautiful. As professional as they come. Let's have a quick look then. Tron's USDD stablecoin hits a massive staking milestone. The decentralized USD, a stablecoin introduced by Justin Sun in 2022, approaches $200 million in net staking volume. It targets the top 100 cryptocurrencies by market cap and challenges some stablecoin heavyweights. Now, we'll get on to my problems with this in a minute. It hit 170, it's hit 200, it's happy days, okay? Justin Sun posted up to his 37 million followers. The 200 million staked is the next milestone it can reach soon. Yes, 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 that's not what I'm interested in. Here we go. That is the worry when I highlight it properly, okay? USDD can be staked with up to 20% APY. So, a dollar pegged coin offering you 20% APY. We have heard this before, have we not? Where did we hear this before? Luna. We heard this from Luna. USDC. No, USTC it was called. What happened there? It absolutely crashed and took half the market with it. How can you generate 20% APR from a stablecoin? I don't think you can, okay? Not long term. And I don't necessarily think that you should be putting any of your cash into USDD, okay? It will be equipped with enhanced peg stability protection. It sounds like, you know that deodorant that you buy that has anti-slip protection technology in it? It sounds like that. It's just a made-up word, okay? I don't care what they say about this coin 20% APY is not sustainable. I've covered this before. We talked about Athena. Athena was offering 18 or 26%. I don't believe it. It might work in the bull run, but it's not going to work after the bull run. Okay? Be very careful of anything offering you this level of return. 20% on a stable coin is crazy, and I personally wouldn't go anywhere near it. If you can pay me 6% on Tether or Circle, I will snap your hand off. Okay? I will bite your hand off for 6% on Tether or Circle, because the underlying asset is treasuries, gilts, bonds, cash. It's stable. It's a trusted asset. Do not give me a stable coin that is backed by Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Okay? Don't do that. I personally wouldn't go anywhere near it. Right then, let's move on very quickly to talk about Unichain. That's a very nice color logo, very reminiscent of a certain crypto warehouse. Maybe we have inspired Unichain to use pink. Who knows? Uniswap's Unichain goes live. Will it dominate Ethereum scaling? Uniswap has launched Unichain, its native Layer 2 network, shortly after rolling out V4 and integrating it into swap routing. Unichain is now accessible from Uniswap's web app and wallet, supporting bridging, swaps, and liquidity provision. The new chain is part of the Optimism superchain, enjoys OP mainnet, Inc. and Sonium. Excuse me. So, what does that even mean in English? So, it's added Unichain to enhance business operations and cut expenses. It continues to grow in popularity. Its launch will determine if users from Uniswap platforms will integrate their liquidity to a different blockchain. It exists within the Optimism superchain, as we've already read. The network functions as a centralized hub for decentralized finance applications, seeking to draw developers who will build new projects. It started in a period when fees were at their lowest point, and it has introduced support for more than 700 smart contracts. Very good. Now, why is this important? Because we want interoperability. At this moment in time, you have DeFi on this layer 2 over here. You have it on Solana. You have it on Cardano. You have it, well, you will soon have it on XRP. It's all over the place. It's mishmashed and it's piecemeal. It's not a holistic approach. Unichain, CCIP, the AG layer, the aggregator layer, their whole aim is to bring together liquidity and the chains so you, as an end user, can go and use something on Arbitrum, something on Optimism, something on Polygon, maybe even something on Cardano or XRP. And you can do that from one location, okay? That's how we want the world to work. We want a unified approach to crypto. And that's what all of these companies are trying to do. Now, some of them are going to work, and some of them are going to absolutely crash and fail. Some of them are never going to be a success, but others will be. That's the key to some of these projects. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you I know every bit of in and out of Unichain. What I can tell you is I do like it as a concept. Now then, let's make this a little bit bigger. Before you gasp at the length of this article, okay, I am not going to read it all. That's not what we do here. We find articles, we give you a brief overview of what the article is about, and then we deep dive into it. So, do not fall asleep. Do not panic. It is going to be over before you can say Bandersnatch. What is a decentralized physical infrastructure network? Again, I'm not a fan of some of these acronyms or whatever you want to call them. But it's important, if you're new to crypto, that you understand what they all mean. RWA, real world assets, what does that mean? Virtual assistants, bots, all of these words that don't mean anything and acronyms, they can be baffling. This is the latest one, I would say the latest one, that basically describes something that already exists. That's why I'm not a massive fan of some of these acronyms. We're just inventing words at this moment in time just to make things sound cool. You know, I said before about dynamic moisture resistance protection system deodorant. Okay, that's the problem I've got at the minute. So DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Network. The term refers to a scheme for the applied integration of blockchain into objects with physical infrastructure. So the best example I can give you of this is data centers. Data centers have existed as long as the internet has existed, probably even longer, 40 years. You will have a data center, and then they will all connect up to the major data centers, the ones in London, in Paris, in Berlin. And these help the flow of traffic. You're watching us now. If you did a trace route on your computer between where you are and, say, the channel that you're watching us on, you'll go through one of these major data hubs, okay? That's how it works. It's just a great big interconnected web of data centers. If you have an AI solution, let's look at FET, a FET AI solution that has agents in multiple data centers around the world. You ask it to perform a task, and those data centers with those agents sitting in them, they will then solve those complex problems, big data crunching, bring back the answer to you in your home. And that might have happened in Paris, Berlin, Rotterdam, London, and it comes together. Now, we know what a blockchain is about. We know we have a blockchain that uses Bitcoin, for example, is mined. The mining, the difficulty to produce those blocks, that's what keeps it secure. And it's very difficult to create a block in Bitcoin. But it doesn't just have to be Bitcoin. We have Litecoin, we have Dogecoin. They're also proof of work. You could also call them DePIN, okay? Blockchain tech can play a role of a crystal honest administrator who's able to automate the operation of system control at every step. We don't want to talk about that. Here are some examples. Filecoin. This is a decentralized storage solution. So it stores data, basically. Does it have any more other interesting ones? Here we go. Render. Render is a blockchain network where users can share computing power for rendering images, of course. Helium. This is the one I really don't like. Helium is basically a decentralized internet. Not a fan of that. NuNet, universal decentralized network through which you can share the computing power of your devices. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember. There used to be a screensaver. Do any of you remember what a screensaver is? Or do they still exist? I don't even know. And you used to be able to dedicate your computer to solve problems for NASA. Or there was a health organization where you would try and solve and find cures for illnesses and process that information. That was just one great big DePIN, one great big decentralized physical infrastructure. They've existed for a long time, a very long time. And it's just a buzzword for these things. And I don't buy into that buzzword. But anyway, there's a breakdown of the types of projects. You've got computing, wireless, energy, AI, services, and sensors. There's lots of them. In fact, we covered one 2 weeks ago, which was a noise level monitor, where it monitored the noise of wherever you were with your mobile phone. You'd put it on your mobile phone, you'd walk around the streets, it would monitor the noise levels, and then you would be rewarded in the token. So there's lots of applications for it, but there's also a bag full of tokens you can buy that use DePIN. Filecoin we talked about, Render, Arweave, IOTA, Akash, which is one we've covered on here before, Helium, IOTEX, IOZ. Let's get back out of that. So again, there's reasons to use DePIN, but at the end of the day, just think of massive server rooms dotted around all over the world that solve problems collectively and then bring the answer back to you, or bring the image back to you, or bring the data back to you. That's all it is. Does it have a future? Well, it's been around for 40 years, so I don't see why it wouldn't. But is in terms of investing in tech, in terms of investing in projects, Deepin's been around for so long, it should really fall under probably real world assets, real world data. Maybe it should have a different term than Deepin. Of course it's going to exist, because a lot of the problems, a lot of the calculations that are done require massive amounts of data. If you look at Near Protocol was a Deepin solution that then moved to the blockchain, because the blockchain was a better solution than what it was currently trying to do. And you're going to see that these data centers that are dotted around the world, it's like we're using technology that's been around for before the blockchain existed, and now we're just adapting it for blockchain technology. If you think about blockchain, it's decentralization. Well, if you've got 5,000 server rooms around the world, 10,000 server rooms around the world that can all tap into and create a hive mind that can solve this, crunch the data, solve the problems, render the images, render the videos, it just makes perfect sense to use it. But I just think the term is over complicated for what it is. It's just using decentralized physical networks. Maybe I've just corrected myself there. Right then, DeFi lending platform ZK Lend drained its 9.5 million in an exploit. Blockchain security firm Cybers confirmed the stolen funds were initially bridged to Ethereum and funneled through Railgun. Again, one of the reasons I am not a fan of anonymous crypto and Tornado Cash and obviously Railgun is, of course, that we shouldn't allow criminals to get away with anything. Criminals should be caught and should be prosecuted. And 9.5 million might not be a lot to you. You might think that's not a lot when you look at crypto. It's a lot of money when it's your money. Okay, if you've got $5,000 and it's in ZK Lend and now it's gone, it's a lot of money. Okay, so it doesn't whether it's 9.5 million or 95 million, it's a lot. So the platform on the Starknet blockchain has fallen victim to a major exploit, with the hacker draining 9.5 million in assets. The stolen funds were bridged to Ethereum, went through Railgun. The funds were then redirected to the original address due to the protocol's internal policies. Following the incident, ZK Lend paused all withdrawals and advised users to hold off on depositing or repaying loans while they investigated the incident. There it is. There is the tweet from the 11th, which was almost, a day and a half ago. The breach has raised alarms in the DeFi space as it comes as part of a growing security concerns within the sector. This, again, is just horse crap, okay? There's been hacks ever since there's been crypto. There's no growing concerns. Sounds like a woke journalist again. There's growing concerns. No, there's no growing concerns. It's part and parcel of being in crypto. The same way that there's bank fraud, there's telephone fraud, there's internet fraud. It exists. Wherever there is money to be stolen, it will exist, okay? There is no growing security concern. In fact, what I would go so far as to say is there's less hacks now than there were 3 years ago. The issue is the market is so much bigger that the amounts involved are so much larger. They've stolen over 110 million from blockchain projects this year. Again, a drop in the ocean. We're looking at between 1 and 3 billion a year. So that works out as 100 million a month. So we're on par. We're on par. Whatever this, who's written this? Trash article. Vismaya, do your research. Do your research. ZK reached out to the hacker with an on-chain message offering a 10% white hat bounty in exchange for the return of the funds. Upon receiving the transfer, we agreed to release you from any and all liability regarding the attack, the platform informed. Remember, there are white hat hackers who will hack a platform, a DeFi platform. They will hack it and steal the funds to prove a point. And then they will return the funds in exchange for a bounty. Okay, so there are good guys, and of course there are the bad guys, and the good guys do it. Again, you're using the wrong terminology. Again, you're using the wrong terminology. The white hat will return the funds, give it back, and then they will be paid. In this instance, they'll be getting almost $1 million. So it's good money if you can hack a DeFi platform, drain it, return the funds, and then explain how you did it so they can patch the problem. And again, this is nothing new. Banks have been doing this for decades. If you're a hacker and you can hack into Barclays Bank, and then you contact them and say, I have managed to hack in, this is how I've done it, you are more than likely going to have a job working for Barclays. Okay? It's a good interview, if you like. Upon receiving the transfer, we agree to give you blah, 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 blah. They've set the deadline of February the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, for them to comply. Otherwise, they will take legal action. Again, the lending platform said they're already working with law enforcement and security firms to try and find them. Again, at the end of the day, lots of these people that think they're going to get away with these things, they never do. Okay? Crime does not pay, on the whole. One of the biggest hacks on Starknet, if not the biggest in recent years. Good to see ZK-Land is being transparent throughout the situation and offering a bounty. Again, my argument would be that if you're transparent, the crypto community is more forgiving than if you try and hide. And I think that's one of the problems that governments have these days. Governments do things and don't tell the people that vote for them. And that's not why governments get elected. Governments get elected to do the bidding of the people that have elected them. So when you have money going to places it shouldn't go, when you have government officials saying there is no God-given right for our citizens to know what we spend the money on, you know something's broken. And in this instance, being transparent, being open and being honest is the only way to be, because it's on the public blockchain. You have nowhere to hide. And that may be one of the reasons that Elon and Charles are going to talk about moving the treasury onto Cardano, to make it transparent. Why are people fighting against transparency? If you're paying $10,000 a year in your tax, shouldn't you know what it's being spent on? Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything it's being spent on, but you should know what it's being spent on. If you're a pacifist, then certainly you don't want it going towards ammunition, for example. If you happen to be a vegan, you might not want it going to supporting farms. Doesn't matter whether you agree with where the money goes. The point is, you should know where it goes. And if you don't want it to go to dairy farms and meat farmers, then you know in the next election you vote for somebody else. Very simple. This incident highlights the security risks in DeFi lending. We don't need to read any more about this. The point of the matter is, they've done the right thing. They've been honest with everything, and I think that's the only way they can really be with this. Now then, let me very quickly check where we are. Make sure nothing has happened whilst we have been live. Right, it's 11:58. Let's go back very quickly to where we are. We're coming in at 96.2. Again, I'm trying to aim for 1 hour. I don't want to overrun to an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes. We're trying to aim for an hour. We need something to happen to get the next leg up. And we also need to see what the FOMC meeting says about interest rates, because they're likely to stay the same. Bearish scenario from where we are today. Get mentally prepared for the next few weeks. The worst case scenario is 88 to 87,000 for me. That's the worst case scenario. And again, we're at 96,000. So we're talking about potentially only another 10% drawdown. That's the worst case scenario. That's where the bull market support band is, and that's where I think we will bounce. Now, maybe we don't go all the way down there. We've just seen inflation coming in higher than it should. Bitcoin had a little bit of a dance. It went down, it went up, and we're back where we were yesterday, as we said. So just because the worst case scenario is 87 or 88,000, it doesn't mean we're going to go there. We've had massive, massive support. Yep, it'd probably be quite helpful if I brought up the chart, just to kind of explain the situation. The reason that we should be so Bitcoin heavy in our news at this moment in time is Bitcoin is the news. Okay, it's all well and good talking about AI coins and meme coins and whatever else it might be. At the end of the day, almost 2/3 of all crypto is Bitcoin. Almost 2/3 of the volume. I would say 80% of the news, if not 90% of the news at this moment in time is Bitcoin. And that's because it's Bitcoin's time to operate and run. So we're coming in. If we go to the daily, just to show you these lines of support. So this 92,500, we've held this 92,500, I think 8 times now. 8 times we held it. So to get to where I'm talking about, which is about 88,000, to get there, we're going to have to break this level of support that we have had for 2 months, 3 months, almost 3 months, December, January, February, 3 months, we've had this support. This area that we're in now, people are telling you that this is a brutal bear market. This is a brutal position we're in. No, it's not. It's not at all. We are forming massive support where we are. The longer we stay here, the better. I would much rather see this action, okay, than this action, okay, because we want to be confident in knowing that when we take the next leg up, 92,000 will always be there for us. And the longer we stay here, I mean, look, we entered this at in November. We entered, and the bull market support band was at 69,000, which was a previous all-time high. Now we're at the same price. We're at 88,000. The bull market support band has moved up almost $20,000 in the time that you think we are in the most brutal period of the market. We are not in the most brutal period of the market. The people telling you that everything is being crushed are the people that were trying to get you to buy Gotus Maximus. We've moved a long way. This time last year, we were at 50 to 60,000. We're at 96,000. Put things into context. We're not at the end of the bull run. Bitcoin dominance hasn't broken down. Bitcoin's at 96,000. It's a mere $10,000 away from its all-time high. And you're being told to worry by, I'm not going to mention names, by the big crypto influencers who should know better than making you panic. I will panic when we come down here. If we come down to 69,000 and lose 69,000, I will worry. But we have a lot of branches on that ugly tree to hit on the way to get there. So don't worry. 96.3, absolutely fine price to be at. Yes, we all want to be at $150,000, $200,000, but you don't get what you want being impatient. You get what you want being patient and not giving the men in suits your Bitcoin. Anyway, I should have gone on full screen for that. That's it from the show today. I will probably be back tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a great Thursday, which I think we're on today. Have a great Thursday. Valentine's Day tomorrow. Don't forget to buy flowers or chocolates for your loved one. And I will see you all in the morning. Ciao.